The neighbors on Briarwood Lane remembered him only as Mr. Dalton, a man who drifted through the quiet suburb like a misplaced shadow. Every morning at 5:12 a.m., long before the sun reached over the cookie-cutter rooftops, he stepped outside with a metal thermos in one hand and a beat-up notebook in the other, pacing the sidewalk with the deliberate rhythm of someone plotting a secret he could no longer contain. Children whispered rumors about him. Adults rolled their eyes at his mismatched clothes, his gravelly muttering, the squeal of his garage door that opened at strange hours of the night. No one knew him. No one tried. In a neighborhood fueled by gossip, misunderstanding was oxygen, and Mr. Dalton was always the spark. For years, he remained the quiet punchline of Briarwood Lane, until the night of November 3rd, when a single piercing siren shattered the street's serenity at 2:09 a.m., and the truth about the strange man next door revealed itself in a way no one could have imagined. The night had been still, cold, the kind of suburban silence where even the leaves seemed to hold their breath. But through that silence, a faint metallic clatter came from behind Dalton's house, followed by a muffled thud. Moments later, lights flicked on, one by one, across the street like a domino chain of curiosity waking from sleep. And then came the scream. High, sharp, terrified. It sliced through the neighborhood with surgical precision. 12 minutes later, police cruisers swarmed Briarwood Lane. Officers stormed into Dalton's home while neighbors peeked through blinds, convinced they were witnessing the aftermath of the crime they had always suspected he was capable of. Until an officer stepped outside, not with Dalton in cuffs, but with a young girl in his arms, barefoot, shivering, pale, her wrists bruised by rope burns. A plastic zip tie dangled from one of her ankles. Someone whispered, "Where did she come from?" Another voice, "Has he been keeping her there?" And suddenly the gossip that once fueled the neighborhood turned acidic, thick with the dread of being too close to something monstrous. But the truth was far stranger than the rumor. Just after dawn, while the neighborhood stood clustered behind yellow tape, the sheriff held a brief statement. The girl, he said, had escaped from a cabin 22 miles north, one belonging to a man already wanted in 3 states. She had run through woods and down a dark highway, following the only lights she could see, the faint orange glow of Briarwood Lane. And when her strength finally gave out, she collapsed behind the house, whose windows still glowed at 2 a.m., the only home on the street awake, the only home where someone would hear her. Neighbors exchanged confused looks. Dalton awake at 2 a.m. again? Of course he was. He was always up to something in that garage. But when officers entered his workshop, expecting the chaos of a madman, they found something entirely different. Maps, coded grids, homemade antennas, and a hand-assembled radio array pulsing with green LEDs. The room hummed with electricity and purpose. An agent wearing a jacket marked DHS arrived shortly after. He walked into Dalton's workshop, stopped, and stared for several seconds. Then he asked one question. How long has he been doing this? No one had an answer. The truth unraveled slowly, like a thread pulled from a tapestry no one realized was hand-woven beneath their noses. Mr. Dalton's nightly routine, his muttering, the pacing, the notebook, wasn't the behavior of a paranoid recluse. It was the meticulous logging of signal patterns, emergency broadcasts, missing persons frequencies, law enforcement bulletins, private chatter on unencrypted bands. He had been tracking them for years, not as a hobby, as a compulsion born from something that happened long before Briarwood Lane ever knew his name. At 10:42 a.m., while investigators swept through his house, they found a weathered photograph taped to the inside of his cabinet. A girl, smiling, windblown hair, a missing poster tucked behind it, 15 years old. Date, 2006. The daughter he never found. Dalton had been an engineer once, the kind with offers from defense firms and agencies that never posted job openings publicly. But after his daughter vanished on her walk home from school, he quit everything. Authorities searched for months, leads evaporated, the case froze. But Dalton didn't. He dismantled his life piece by piece, trading it for one mission: to find any missing child he could, even if he could never find his own. On Briarwood Lane, he blended into the wallpaper of suburban judgment, But in the deeper layers of police databases and emergency broadcasts, he was known by another name, one investigators used with quiet respect: Signal Samaritans. People who monitored the frequencies the world forgot. People who listened when others stopped. And of all of them, Dalton was the best. The girl rescued that night, her name was Lena, Toll,